So in a recent episode, I talked about how obesity is not a disease, and I brought up this like documentary that was on TV about how medical professionals are trying to label it a disease. Well, there was a nurse practitioner who works with obesity in our forum who tried to make the argument that it's good that they're going to try and label it a disease, because her point essentially is that it'll motivate people to get in shape somehow. And I said, well, first off, people get heart attacks and decide still not to get in shape. So I don't think that's going to help at all. But just to hammer home the point and really, really kind of just, boil it down, obesity right now, if it doesn't have any other medically treatable factors, in other words, if you don't have diabetes, hypertension, or anything else, let's just say you're obese. Obesity itself is not, unless it's extreme, is not covered by insurance. In other words, if you go to the doctors, you're 30 pounds overweight, and everything else kind of looks okay, the insurance company's not going to cover a medication to solve your obesity because it has yet to be labeled as a disease. Now, the minute the medical establishment comes together and says, yes, it's a disease, the next step is for insurance companies to cover obesity disease, quote unquote, solving pharmaceuticals.
It's interesting.
So that's why. That's the main, that is 100% the motivation.
100%.
Purely for pharmaceutical reasons. Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting to me that somebody who works in the industry actually wouldn't see that. I mean, I feel like it's so obvious that this is, I know we always wrap things like this in this, like, we care, we care. We're trying to help others out, but there's, 9 times out of 10, it's money motivated. And the fact that they can now prescribe drugs and insurance companies can cover it, there's going to be a fuck ton of money being made. By the way, isn't that like what's trending in the news right now is all these obesity, fat loss type supplements right now? So all that stuff is trending right now. These companies are popping up that
if you're a pharma company, they did this with cholesterol lowering drugs. At one point, if your cholesterol was above, I think it was 220, then you could get prescribed a statin. And then they lowered the number to 200, your cholesterol at 200, which immediately added tens of millions of new potential customers, okay? Because going from 220 to 200, like, it opened up the market. If you could label something that a majority of Americans, quote unquote, have, a disease, it will literally become one of the most if not the most profitable segment of the pharmaceutical industry. Now, I know what happens with people that work in medicine is there's a lot of good people that work in medicine. I've trained a lot of people that work in medicine. They were all very good people, very smart, hardworking, caring people. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is that the system itself is fueled by the pharmaceutical industry, which is it's the largest profit earning portion of the medical industry. And what they do is they set the narrative. And then when you work in that space, you work within the confines of this market that they've created. So it's hard to see. So if you're a nurse practitioner, like the person in our forum, they say, well, I help people. I'm really trying to solve this. I recommend strength training. Like
this isn't a shot at you.
She's conditioned to treat the symptoms.
Right.
Well, Western medicine practices. That's like their thought process. And if there's a way to do that pharmaceutically, then they feel like maybe eventually this person's going to come around. But what we've found, from training people like this, and I'm sure you guys have as well, have had like surgery and have invasive kind of ways of dealing with the obesity, is it just rebounds. The behaviors don't change at all.
Well, listen, this is not a direct shot at the, nurse practitioner and stuff like that. I think that's what I think.
Or the doctors, right?
Right, or the doctors. Like, there's tons of amazing people that are in it. It's not that at all. It's the machine, man. I mean, it's like somebody taking a shot at trainers and saying that, like, all trainers do is make money off of peddling supplements. Like, okay, yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a large part of how the industry. I mean, I remember when we were talking about starting this, years ago. And, one of the easiest ways to make money, or the formulas, is to gain some sort of traction and attention, gain an audience, whether that's through fame, magazines, whatever, podcasting, and then to create a supplement line and peddle supplements. It's one of the fastest, easiest ways to build a legitimate business in our space.
It's the product in the market. And the product in the medical market is pharmaceuticals. That by the way, it's one of the most profitable markets, period. not just we're not just talking about, oh, this is what's profitable in medicine.
After the last couple of years.
Yeah, so they fund the research, they fund the studies, they fund the narrative. So you have to ask yourself, why label obesity a disease anyway? What's that going to do? Like, okay, whether we label it a disease or not, for the average person, how's that change anything? Here's how. Once it is officially a disease, now drugs that simply target obesity, not diabetes, not hypertension, not blood lipid issues, not blood like strokes and clots and all the other issues that can become associated with obesity, just being obese now is going to be covered by insurance, which opens the floodgates for companies.
And what do you think? Do you think it's going to make it better or worse?
No, it's going to make it worse because the unintended consequence of that is removing the responsibility from the average person. Not just, I don't mean this in a negative way, like people are just lazy, but what'll happen is you're going to disempower them because they're going to view it as this thing that they have, like, I can't do anything about, when in fact, the only thing you can do about it now and probably for the foreseeable future is change your lifestyle. And you're going to disempower people through this process. So it's damaging across the board. It's totally a money grab, and it's complete bullshit. You don't have to label a disease except to get insurance companies to be able to cover pharmaceuticals. That is coming in the pipeline. They're already preparing it. The narrative and the propaganda machine is going. So just remember, we said it here.
Do you think it'll be as big or bigger than the ADD market?
Oh, bigger.
Wow. Bigger, yeah.
Way bigger, dude.
I anticipated being bigger.
Way bigger. Think about how many people.
That's crazy. What is that right now? That's in the trillions now,
it's
right?
Huge. It's huge.
It's crazy.
It's huge. But think about it this way. Here's what'll happen. I'm going to make some predictions just so people think I'm Nostradamus, but I'm not. It's very clear here. They're going to label it a disease because right now they're starting to propaganda. So they're going to label it a disease. Then they're going to lower the threshold for what obesity is considered. So right now, obesity is, I don't remember what the BMI is. It's like over 22 or I don't remember what it was. First, they're going to start, it's a disease. Then they're going to lower the threshold, thus making the market even larger.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to challenge that. The timeline of that is going to be, there's going to be a good solid year plus between that because that's how you boost your numbers. Guaranteed.
That's right. They're going to start out with it's a disease.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say, oh, obesity now is considered this.
And then, oh, by the way, this is how we can increase profits by 30% next year is because we're going to open it up for 30% more people.
And then the way that they're going to sell it is they're going to say, because obesity is strongly connected to, hypertension, blood clots, stroke, dementia, whatever, everything, right? They're going to say, but this is good. This is a good thing. We are solving problems. And what will happen is within a decade, you'll probably see a majority of people on obesity prescriptions covered by insurance companies. So that's the game. That's the game that's happening right now. It is not to help people. Don't fool yourself. It's not to help people. It's all about selling more drugs.